her daughters were very, very emotional, that you could tell on their faces that they had a lot of emotion going through just hearing all of this evidence coming out, hearing the messages between their mom and this man she was having this affair with.
Now we know that one of Jeff Libler's daughters actually intercepted one of the messages that he sent, and then that led to the deletion of pretty much all of his social media, Facebook, Instagram. And then, as we saw, Suzanne picked it up on LinkedIn, and they picked it up from there. Now, what's really interesting is that Libler didn't feel it was safe. Suzanne probably told him this as well, to travel to Colorado, partly because Suzanne told him that Barry has surveillance cameras all around the house. Now, what I think is also interesting with that is, so if you've got surveillance cameras all around the house, why didn't they pick up some sort of person coming there? And if Barry knew he had surveillance cameras all around the house, if the crime was committed at the house, which I believe it was, what happened to those cameras and what did they record?
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. Now, in this analysis, which starts at the top of page 15, we deal with the ongoing relationship between Suzanne and Libler. Now, you may remember in the previous analysis we spoke about if this affair was not taking place, do you think Suzanne would still be alive? Well, I think the answer to that is because this affair was taking place, Suzanne found the agency, found the zest for life, found a reason to leave. And she wanted to leave, and because she wanted to leave, she not only stood up to Barry in a, not so much in a physical sense, but in a cerebral sense, although it ultimately becomes physical when you're no longer with someone. That is what escalated everything to a much more serious level. And so in this analysis, we're going to look at how her relationship with Jeff escalated. It's kind of a mirror image to the escalation of some kind of response to it, which then led to her death. We're going to look at that in more detail. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Big thank you to Gelsamina, Chelsea in Canada. Thank you very much for your super thanks. If you haven't hit the thanks button, please do. I'll give you a moment to strategize, and let's get started. So how did the affair go from, I guess, strength to strength? Well, agents asked Libler when Suzanne first said that she loved him, and he replied that Suzanne told him that in 2018. She died 2 years later. They discussed that they were soulmates and meant for each other. They eventually exchanged words of love to each other. Libler explained they were soulmates because of their approaches to the world and to people. Libler said that Suzanne treated people well, not simply for social stair climbing or status benefits. Libler was striving to be that type of person. He said that he was not a good person, though. He was horrible for having this relationship with Suzanne. When agents asked Libler how Suzanne took steps to be careful about Barry knowing her travel activities, he said, remember, she had to travel to Libler to have this affair. He said that when Barry called, Libler simply left the room. This happened once in Suzanne's hotel room in New Orleans. Agents asked Libler what other steps they took to conceal their relationship from Barry. He responded, we talked all the time about protect, for the kids, for family, all that stuff. Suzanne knew when Libler was going to be working in his car, and he never initiated conversations with a phone call or a text. So that was really how they coordinated their communications. They communicated through his LinkedIn account in 2019 to determine when they could FaceTime. Agents asked Libler if Suzanne ever spoke about leaving Barry. He said Suzanne's plan was to get out of the house and to college before Suzanne would probably go on her own. I'm not sure if that's a reference to herself going to college or one of her daughters. Libler and Suzanne talked about one day being together. She told Libler this was not about him, it was about her getting away. He said Suzanne was not happy mentally. She could not take it and it was wearing her out. Libler had a corporate LinkedIn account and he created a second account to use to communicate with Suzanne. They stopped talking on the phone in December 2019. So really you have things escalating in terms of discovery as late as December 2019. Remember, she was murdered in May 2020. Libler deleted his second LinkedIn account of blank after Suzanne disappeared when he thought she was abducted. So it's quite interesting that he even covered his tracks. Libler said, I didn't want her legacy to be she had an affair with this guy. Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't want a legacy about himself either. Libler and Suzanne stopped talking over the phone in December 2019 because she told him we can't use the phone anymore. This suggests that Barry had either come very close to seeing something or perhaps had caught her doing something. Now, ironically, it is the time when she took this photo of herself suntanning that I think there's a strong possibility that Barry came home early and actually intercepted her. That is the last proof of life we have, as far as I know, of Suzanne Morphew. Remember when Suzanne says, Barry watches everything I do. Remember, Barry's a hunter. And in a sense, I think Barry thought of Suzanne the way that he thought of deer, how to anticipate what they're going to do, being very aware that deer can be very skittish and nervous, and how to camouflage oneself in terms of watching them so that they don't know they're being watched. And anyway, she says, I'm afraid he's gonna find out. Suzanne mentioned an incident when she was on the beach in Mexico listening to music on her phone and Barry was suspicious of her. Libler said she started handing her phone over to him and told him, do whatever you want, go through it. Libler and Suzanne used WhatsApp because they could talk and leave messages, but there was no phone record of it. Libler did not think there would be call records of them talking past December 2019. Now, think about it. Think about the fact that you can't see someone physically. Certainly, they can't come to you. Now, you've got to make arrangements to go to them. Well, how do you make those arrangements? Well, you've got to use your phone. And you can, I guess, take photos and send messages and delete every single one, but here and there, you've got to slip up. Suzanne's last meeting with Libler was in October 2019. Libler had a sales meeting in Dallas and Suzanne was traveling to Phoenix. She left a day early and went through to Dallas, staying at the same hotel Libler stayed at, the Galleria in northern Dallas. It also has an ice rink inside. They spent 2 nights at the hotel together. Suzanne was going to the Phoenix conference to become a certified fitness instructor with the mindset of, what am I going to do if I leave him? She talked to Libler about Barry's moods and anger, saying, as long as he gets what he wants, everything's fine. Libler said that he and Suzanne had a mutual understanding not to dive too much into the problems they had with their spouses. So can you see their relationship, their affair, their love is escalating, but so is Barry's suspicion. As we move closer and closer, effectively to this countdown when something very serious happens to Suzanne, these two processes are in sync. Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. In the next episode, we're going to talk about Suzanne beginning to take steps to separate from Barry. And this can be a very dangerous time in a relationship where there's a very controlling individual involved. And we'll deal with that in the next episode. All right. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.